Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of our online virtual company interview presentations. And we have with us today Kelly Earle, the Vice President of Communications of Skeena Resources. You remember the super successful gold explorer out of British Columbia and Canada, of course. And Kelly, good morning, and how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me again, Jochen.
Yeah, super. Thanks for taking the time. And as said, we do it a little bit different this time, like an interview presentation. And you have prepared a short presentation, which is great. And I think, the news releases of the last 2, 3, 4 months, they were so outstanding. I mean, you really reported bonanza grades, bonanza widths. And if I do the calculation, like with, let's say, gold only even, every hole is above 100 if we do the mathematics. And this is crazy. I've seen that very seldom.
Yes, we're very happy with the results we've had. Most of last year focused on infill drilling because half of our resource at Eskay Creek was still in the inferred category. Probably about 10% exploration, 90% infill drilling, and we've had some wonderful success, and I'll be happy to take your listeners through it today.
Super, then let's put up the presentation, and I would say, Kelly, the floor is yours.
Wonderful, thank you. So we're going to be focusing on our Eskay Creek project today, which is the past producer mine that we acquired from Barrick, and it's located in the Golden Triangle of Northwest British Columbia in Canada. So this gives you an idea of where our project is. We actually have 2 past producing mines. They're both past producing high-grade mines we acquired from Barrick, Snip and Eskay Creek, but our flagship project is very much Eskay Creek, and that's what we're pushing forward towards development, and that'll be the focus of this presentation.
Mm-hmm. What is Taltan? Just one question. Is that a native, or how do you say that, native inhabitants?
The First Nations group, so the indigenous peoples who are local to the area, is the Taltan First Nation, and we're proud to have them as our partners on the project as we move it forward.
Super. So you are partnering with them so that everything is in good standing, because I think this is very important if you want to build a mine there.
Yes, we have a pretty unique relationship with the Taltan, I'd say. We started a mining alliance with them in partnership with industry, First Nations, and the British Columbia Ministry of Mines. We've traveled the world with our Taltan partners. We've been to, Beaver Creek, to London, and with the purpose of promoting mining investment in the Golden Triangle and specifically within Skeena. So we're really pleased to have them as our partners on the project.
Super. Glad to hear that.
So let's look at our current resource. We put this out in November of 2019. Currently, the global resource is sitting at 4 million ounces at 4.4 grams per ton gold equivalent. And the majority of that resource is open pittable, you can see. There are some ounces that are underground, and we're actually working at converting some of those underground ounces to open pit. And this is because as we push forward with the pre-feasibility, we're doing an open pit permit only. So the first phase of the Eskay Creek mine will be open pit. So that's why we're looking at trying to get more of these underground ounces into the open pit so we can push forward on the pre-feasibility size. We did about 85,000 meters of drilling last year, a lot of drilling. And that's because you can see over half the resource, over 14 million tons, is still in the inferred category. And we need to bring all of that into the measured and indicated category in order to push forward with our pre-feasibility study. So I'm pleased to report that we put out the last of our infill drill results yesterday morning. So now we have all the assay results back. We've passed that off to our resource geologist, and we're on track to have a resource update come out at the beginning of April. So current resource is 4 million ounces, and our target for this resource update, which will be out in about a month, is 5 million ounces. And we're well on the way to getting there. There's a couple reasons for that I'll go through in the next slides, but one of the ones that I wanted to point out is an expansion that we're working on of this pit. So we're doing what's called the northern pit expansion. It'll try and capture some of the underground resources currently, bring them into the open pit phase. And besides that, we've had wonderful infill results with hitting higher grade than expected. And all of this will lead into the resource update and hitting that 5 million ounce target next month.
Mm-hmm. Kelly, would that also mean that you upgrade not only the inferred, but maybe also to measured?
Exactly. Yeah. So the goal is to have the majority of it in measured. I don't yet know the breakout. We're still calculating. And then off the back of that, we'll declare reserves later in the year. So timeline right now, I'll go through it in a second. Resource first, then PFS, then full feasibility study and reserves by the end of the year.
Can't wait for it. Sorry.
Yes. Well, I'll give you an idea of some of the success, and I'll take you through some cross sections. So this is an overview of our deposit. You can see our current resources in gold, and then you can see the pit outline there in black. There's the main 21 zone pits, and then there's a smaller satellite 22 zone pits to the south. All the little blue dots are drill holes. We've inherited a very large database of historic drill holes, and this has really helped to guide our exploration. So there's two circles I've put on there, the 21C zone and the 21A zone, and this will show some of the success that we've had over the last year. So this is the first cross section in the 21A zone, gives you an idea of the deposit. There's a basalt cap, there's the mineralization in the orangey gold color underneath, and then you can see the pit limit. So I know we've talked about this before. The main mineralized horizon at Eskay Creek is called the contact mudstone. It's this ultra high grade horizon that was mostly mined out historically. It represents the seafloor. This is called a VMS deposit, volcanogenic massive sulfide, which just means hot fluids came up underneath the ocean floor. They hit the cold ocean water. You have the main exhalative event, and that's where all the mineralization dumped out. That's the contact mudstone horizon. That's what's in the dark orange here, just below the basalt cap. Below that, we then have the rhyolite horizon. So what we're looking for when we do exploration drilling is more of these mudstone horizons. And that's because VMS deposits are known to come in stack sequences because the seafloor moves over time. So if you have the seafloor moving over time, you could have more than one of these mudstone horizons. And this is where most of the mineralization, the really high grade stuff, is held at Eskay Creek. So we're doing infill drilling. And then once we do the infill drilling, we can let the drill holes go deeper and hopefully tag into some new mineralization. So infill drilling was successful. You can see some of the grades at the top, 6.46 grams over 34 meters. And then right beside that to the right, you'll notice we hit 25 grams over 35 meters. So infill drilling is having the added bonus of giving us pockets of higher grade. So we're hitting better than expected grade. And that's one of the reasons why we're so confident we're going to hit that 5 million ounce target for the next resource update. And then once we let the drill holes go deeper, you can see Jochen just underlined 2 drill holes lower down, 314 grams over 2.4 meters and 12.27 over 6 meters. And excitingly, these are in a new lower mudstone horizon. So this is completely outside of the current resource. It's a new underground target for us, really exciting, and it's where we'll focus some drilling later this year. And then finally, the very bottom right, you can see we hit another mudstone horizon, the ELM zone, the even lower mudstone zone, and we hit 6.26 over 4.2. So really exciting that on our first go, we found 2 new mudstone horizons, and this will be the main target of our exploration drilling this year. I would also mention that we just wrapped up 5,000 meters of near mine exploration. Don't have any results back from those yet, but we hope for those to start coming in within the next month. And visually, they've been looking good so far.
What depths are we talking now here? Because when I look at this 200-meter line, this
shallow.
is maximum like 200-300 meters down, right?
Yes, it's very shallow. So the reason for this is historically, shallow ounces were cheap ounces. When this mine was in production, the cutoff grades went from 15 to 30 grams per ton. So anything below that, they would abandon the holes. And it seems ridiculous by today's standards, but it means the exploration potential for us is spectacular because they were looking for shallow ounces near the mine workings. And anything below 15 grams per ton, they weren't interested in. So it just means a lot of exploration potential left for us across the project as a whole.
And also technically later in the production, this is not a problem when you have like 300 grams gold and then you have 12 grams and 30 grams. You can blend that like together that you get the perfect result out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And these are targets for the future of mining at Eskay. So the PEA was open pit only. We're pushing forward with the open pit permitting, but we hope there will be a second phase to Eskay Creek, which would have underground mining. And that's where our exploration this year and into next year will focus.
Okay.
So another thing I wanted to point out was the fact that we've been able to drill within an exploration buffer. So we optioned this project from Barrick, and while we were in the option period, we were not allowed to drill within 25 meters of any of the historic underground workings. And that was for liability. Barrick wanted to make sure that the project was 100% ours, which is understandable. So that exciting milestone happened in the fall of last year. So then we were able to get into this development buffer and drill within 25 meters of the underground workings. And you can see some successful drill hits we've had here, 5.67 over almost 72 meters, 9.15 over 25 meters. So really amazing drill intercepts that were at or better than what we were expected. But the key is that we were able to get into this buffer. We've hit the grades that we're looking for. And in many cases, we've added a few more ounces along the way too, by hitting some pockets of higher grade than what was expected. So the infill drilling's gone exactly as we would like it to. From a geologist standpoint, this is a beautiful deposit. It's the seafloor. It's very continuous and tabular in nature, and we hit the zone every time we think we will. One more exciting discovery we had, again, infill drilling normally can seem pretty boring, but we had this exciting new discovery while we were doing it. You can see the pit outlines are drawn there, and the dark orange color is the existing mineralization that's in our resource. This was an infill drill hole, and excitingly, we found new mineralization above where we thought there was existing mineralization. So you can see it's like 3.37 over 21 meters, 4.5 grams per ton over 20 meters, 4.8 over 30.5 meters. And this is all in areas that we thought was waste rock. So this was not drilled previously. And that's normally because this was an underground mine historically. So they didn't really bother testing the basalt cap on top because they were hunting for the underground high-grade horizon. But we've drilled it, and we've discovered that what we thought was unmineralized waste rock now has ore in it. And excitingly, this is what we're calling a reactivation fault. So the basalt cap, the gray color there, came and sat on top of the deposit after it was created. So generally, there's no mineralization unless you have a fault that brings up hot fluids that reactivates and bring those fluids into this rock sitting on top. And that's exactly what's happened here. We've only seen it one other spot on the deposit, but this gives us hope that there'll be other areas that we think are waste that we can now show there's mineralization. So this was an exciting new discovery for us. Strike length is 160 meters, and it's open along strike and along dip. So another really good exploration target for us.
So it looks like you are like alchemists, right? You are turning waste into gold.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing.
Love it.
And alchemists, Jochen. I like that analogy.
I'm happy to be a shareholder.
So that's a quick overview of some of the successes that we've had so far this year. I wanted to touch on the timeline and what our shareholders can expect for the rest of this year and into next year. So we finished our phase 1 and 2 infill, and we've also finished a 5,000 meter exploration program. The results from that will start to come out shortly. The next major milestone for us will be happening at the beginning of April, as I mentioned. Excuse me, and that's our resource update. We're also going to kick off yet another infill drill program, because not the problem, but when you find you have more exploration success, it's in the inferred category, and then you have to go back and infill drill. So we found some new mineralization. It's in the inferred category, so we'll do more infill drilling so that we can bring it into the full feasibility study. But for now, resource update in the spring. That'll quickly be followed by the pre-feasibility study, which will be put out in the summer. And we're going to see a jump in the number of mineable ounces from the PEA to the PFS. We've added more open pit ounces. And then the final milestone will be the full feasibility study at the end of the year. And again, we expect to see an increase in the mineable number of ounces as we do more infill drilling to lead into the full feasibility study. So you should see progression all along the way. The end of the year will be when we make the financing decision on the mine. We hope to start project financing in the beginning of next year, 2022. It would be a phased construction period, and that's because this is a brownfield site. So there are a lot of existing infrastructure, things that are already permitted. For example, the tailing storage facility, which we'll be using again. There's roads already to site. So we will begin construction in areas where we already have permits and just need some modifications while we wait for the rest of our permits to come in. We officially kicked off the permitting process about last month, the environmental assessment process, and excitingly, we've also kicked off the impact benefits agreement with our Tahltan partners. So in Canada, you need an impact benefit agreement with all the First Nations groups. Generally, you don't do that until you're closer to feasibility, but we've got a really strong relationship with the Tahltan, and we've already started those negotiations. So that'll all lead into construction financing at the beginning of next year, and then construction starting at the beginning of next year. And we hope to have the project in production at the beginning of 2024. That's our base case, but of course, we're always going to try to improve upon that.
Super. If we talk already about, let's say, construction, also production, then can you guess already a little bit on some numbers? Are we talking about, let's say, 200,000, 300,000 or 400,000 annual production? Sure. And what might be an idea for a capex? I know it's a forward-looking statement, each for sure for the regulators, but I just want a little bit of a feeling, of a sniff for our viewers.
Sure. So the PEA showed 306,000 gold equivalent ounces a year in production, and the initial capex was US 233 million. So we expect,
not much.
It's not much at all, and that's because it's a brownfield site, right? We have road access, we can connect to power 15 kilometers away, and importantly, we have a permitted tailing storage facility. So that will save us a lot of money. Also, we're producing and shipping a concentrate, which is exactly what they did historically. We're not producing doré on site, but that means we don't need to build an autoclave. So that keeps costs down as well. But you asked for what we think will happen. We think both the production and the capex will increase a little. So PEA and the PFS will look at 6,800 tons per day. But by the time the full feasibility study comes out, we'd like to get that closer to 8,000 to 9,000 tons per day. And that would mean that the production could get closer to 350 to 400,000 ounces per year. But with that will be a slight increase in the capex. So our best guess right now is it would probably be around 300 million US for the capex, which is still very reasonable considering you'd be getting at minimum 350,000 ounces per year.
Yeah, absolutely. Super. So I think this is the last slide, right?
Yes.
Yeah, super. Perfect. So then let's go back here. Thank you very much, Kelly. That was really interesting. And I knew it when I bought it $1 into your stock. That was really good.
Happy shareholder.
Definitely happy. No, this is fantastic. And I mean, you're in the right jurisdiction. You have, as you said, the brownfield site that helps a lot for future development. Question about cash in the bank, because you have now, you still have I would say, heavy work program. You need to do a lot of studies now. And so is 2021 financed?
Yeah, so we just had announced a financing for 20 million. So when that's wrapped up, we'll have just over $30 million in the bank. So we are financed this year for everything we're looking at doing, except additional exploration. So I mentioned we just wrapped up 5,000 meters at Eskay. Once those results come back, fairly confident we'll have some success and we'll go back and do more drilling. So I suspect there will be a raise at some point later in this year to do some more exploration drilling, but we are fully financed for right now.
Yeah, that is fantastic. If I go through your numbers, I'm really wondering why Barrick gave up that project, because now it looks like they have to buy it back. So,
I mean, a couple of reasons. Barrick has very much been saying they want a tier 1 asset, and they consider that to be 5 million ounces producing 500,000 ounces per year. So we're just not there yet, right? We're at 4 million ounces at 300,000 ounce a year annual production. But Barrick is keeping an eye on us. They are an 11% shareholder of the company. We have updates with them regularly. And I think their idea is to see if it gets to what they would qualify as a tier 1 asset. Have to remember, Barrick's not in British Columbia right now. So it's not an area that they have immediate expertise in. We've worked very hard in our First Nations and government relations. So The permitting process would probably make more sense for Skeena to get it further along because of our relationships, but they are very much keeping an eye on us to see if we hit those milestones for ounces and annual production. And a lot of other mid-tiers and majors are as well, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I have also a good feeling that you are really on the radar with a red light on it.
Yes.
It really looks like to me. Super. Yeah, fantastic. Kelly, thank you very much. It was a great update. I think we will talk in approximately 6 weeks when we do the presentation for the 8th Deutsche Rohstoffnacht, the German Resource Night. And hopefully then again with some good updates and hopefully then already a big resource.
Exactly.
A bigger resource. You have already a good
Agreed.
resource. Super. Kelly, thank you very much. All the best. And yeah, see you soon then.
Thank you, Jochen.
Super. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this was Kelly Earle, the Vice President of Communication, and you saw it the last 10 slides. This is really a fantastic company, $30 million in the bank. They have done already a new 5,000 meter program. Now the calculation phase for the infill drilling is really going forward. And in April, in approximately 4 to 6 weeks, they will bring out a new resource, hopefully then already with upgraded categories from the inferred to the indicated to measured, of course. And yeah, as she said, like hopefully plus 5 million ounces. That would be outstanding. And don't forget, this is British Columbia. This is a brownfield site. This is a fantastic place to mine because this was a former mine. And this brings you exactly the advantages you need, like road power, First Nations agreements, environmental stuff. Everything is much, much easier to get it permitted. And hopefully this company is by 2024 then in production. I would suggest you check it out because the share price came back from $4 now to approximately $2.90. So still a good, possibility to be part of the company. And I wish you all the best. Thanks for watching us and bye-bye from Switzerland.